Hey everyone, it's Time Spiral. Welcome back to some Revolution Custom Standard. We have a really nice round 3 game here against, we got Aanginer playing against Lee. Lee is on 4-color JJ Mack Skotha. It's got a lot of really crazy stuff in it. And Aanginer is piloting Grixis Phoenix. Now, I haven't put a lot of Revolution Custom Standard content out in a while. It just happens that my main focus has been MSCM, as you can probably tell by the name of the channel. But Revolution's just been doing so amazing. I definitely want to throw some more videos of the format out here with the release of sets like GQ Chaos Rain. You can check out the mountain that came out with it here. The format's really had a big growth spurt. I mean, it already was doing really well, but we're in the 30s monthly attendance. So it's been really nice to see this format doing well, and I hope it continues to do so because the smaller card pool is easier for players to get into. And while I really like the breadth of the format that MSCM has and just the sheer amount of options, for a lot of players, Revolution Custom Standard is just a nicer package to get into, and I'm happy to support both formats. I firmly believe that no matter what custom Magic is being played, all custom Magic wins. If it were up to me, I wish we could have 50, 60, 70, hundreds of players a month. But in the meantime, we're just perfectly happy with what we got. So it looks like the die roll ended up being Lee with an 8 here. Yeah, because the 4 on a 4-sided die was not going to win. So yeah, Lee's going to start off playing out a mountain. We're going to mouse over the usual cards. I'll give you a chance to pause. I won't read all of them out because then we'll miss some gameplay, but we've got cards like 2 copies of Savvy Smith, Seafloor Treasures, JJ Mack, Trendsetter, All That Remains, Lightspeed Launcher. Funnily enough, some of these cards are in other existing decks, and this one seems like a really spicy mix-up of all those decks together. I'd be happy to hear more about the deck in the future. I haven't had a chance to look at it a lot, but I do know that the Lightspeed deck was a thing, and the Flashback deck is a thing. So over on Aanginer's side, we started off with an Ignited Soul here as a Menace 1/1. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you get to discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Very simple, but pretty important in a deck like Phoenix's that wants to get its Phoenixes into the yard, and also wants to throw in Flashback cards and other stuff like that. So we've got Tri-Lands here in Hazak District. We've got cards like Opal Eye Phoenix as our Phoenixes, obviously. Arduous Miners here makes everyone discard cards, and then when your cards leave your graveyard, you get tapped treasure tokens, so that's just perfect with what you're doing. Thirst for Answers is a nice draw, and then discard, and then you can flashback it by paying a lot, but that's the front half is already pretty fine. Industrialized is a really cheap flashback. It doesn't actually draw you any cards. You're just scrying, drawing, then discarding, but you just really want those triggers. And then again, a second copy of Opal Eye Phoenix here. So chipping in with Ignited Soul as the Menace 1/1 gets around Savvy Smith here. Smith is quite cool as a sort of a Pyromancer design, so it's a 2/2 that whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you get to pick one that hasn't been chosen this turn. And those options are creating a construct, a 1/1, adding a mana of any type, or discarding a card, then draw a card. All 3 of those modes are actually pretty relevant, so it's nice to see that there's quite a few different options you can have. So in this case, adding blue to the mana pool off of Seafloor Treasures here. So it has a new mechanic, Surface, which lets you exile and pay the surface cost to cast a copy of it, but you can only do so if there are 6 or more other cards in your graveyard. So you want to fill it up, and then you can start slowly chipping back your surface cards. There's some pretty aggressively costed surface cards, and from what I've seen between cards like it and All That Remains, there's lots of little ways of getting cards into your graveyard. Cards like Primal Fisher, being a Evolving Wilds plus, certainly helps in that regards. Yeah. Lightspeed Launcher has a deck of its own in the format, but it's nice to see it here as well. Just simply gives all your attacking creatures first strike, and whenever you amp it up, draw a card. You tend to amp it up pretty easily by casting your second spell each turn and or by attacking with 3 or more creatures. All kinds of things that the deck tries to do. The big splashy card here, of course, in the deck is JJ Mack Trendsetter as a 4-mana 4/4 flyer where you can exile instants or sorceries you control with mana value X to instead get certain effects. So 3 times X life, draw X cards, discard a card, or put that many +1/+1 counters on JJ Mack. And is using, I believe it's called Prismatic Mana there. essentially you have to use a color on it that is not blue or red. So in this case, white, black, or green, which explains why the blue-red card is gaining life, because the only other way you can get it out, technically, is by paying a color that could normally get life. So I'm a big fan of Prismatic Mana and an MSEM Wujing type cards that play around in the color pie sphere by making sure that you have colors that would normally be able to do stuff, but without actually printing them on the card. So really spicy stuff. Big fan here. Yeah, I don't know why the All That Remains ended up face down, but okay, we're all good. So a lot of these flashback cards are from Oldun, so very nice set by Dodger. If you're a big fan of giant monuments, yeah, All That Remains would be exactly what you're looking for. Alrighty. Some early plays here with the Miners and the Savvy Smiths coming out. These Smiths are going to start probably generating some pretty decent value here. Drew a Pensive Caldera, so no instants and sorceries in the hand right now, which is not necessarily what you want, but there are some in the yard. And in fact, for both of these players, I should probably keep the graveyards up at all times. It'll be decently relevant because All That Remains has a single color flashback. Surface will eventually get there. What else do we have here? 3 Phoenixes in the yard with a Wade Through Spores and an Industrialize. So you do have to pay 1 in a red to get back Opal Eye Phoenix, but you know, if you got your 3 mana, that could be a Wade Through Spores and Opal Eye Phoenix, and then on another turn you could probably get your Industrialize going. So what's interesting is it's just an additional cost to cast spells with flashback. They don't actually have to be cost from the graveyard, so you can also get it off front half triggers too, I believe. Pretty cool Phoenix. And 3/2 Flying Haste is not a bad body. And the very neat thing, of course, is whenever one or more cards are going to leave the graveyard, you'll get a tap treasure token, which will make it easier on future turns to chain up those Phoenixes. So yeah, just like I predicted, Wade Through Spores goes in. The player discards a card, loses 1 life. You get 1 minor trigger because 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, and then there you go. Opal Eye Phoenix. And then we're casting a Industrialize from hand. So I'm going to scry, and then draw a card, then discard a card. I assume we're going to see an attack by the Opal Eye Phoenix. Don't really think we're holding it back to block these 2/2s. At least not yet, would be my my assumption. The Pensive Caldera went to the yard. This card's putting in a little bit of work here. Drawing also the Aqua Crew flagship here. Very nice card, again, from GQ Chaos Reigns. It's a 4/4 for 3 vehicle. It just passively has a loot ability, and then once each turn when you cast a spell from your graveyard, you create a 2/1 blue human pirate creature token, and well, that's just enough power to crew the flagship. So if you want to swing in for a 4/4. We've got the Primal Fisher here, cracking into a swamp, giving Lee access to black, so firing off All That Remains here. What's cool about cards like these is JJ Mack cares about the mana value, so you can pay black and discard a card, right? Yeah. But then you could actually exile it for 3. So, for example, that could have been like a 9 life gain, or 3 counters, or draw 3 cards and discard a card. Some pretty exciting stuff here. Speaking of exciting stuff, JJ Mack is coming down here. Savvy Smith having generated a little bit of mana, and I think what I thought is going to happen, we're going to use that black mana from Savvy Smith. We're going to go Wade Through Spores. And I assume we're going to see JJ Mack eat the Wade Through Spores for a mana value 5 effect. Getting those 2 constructs. Yeah, there we go. Seems perfect for that kind of effect. And yes, the All That Remains should be exiled. I love the, oh, so that's what your deck's doing. Yeah, that's what the deck is doing. It's pretty powerful, actually, the 1 mana into 5. Let's see what gets picked. I would assume... if you know your opponent's packing, sure, you could just make turn a JJ Mack into a 9/9. I guess if you know, like, the removal main board is non-existent, but otherwise maybe drawing a ton of cards, but maybe that's what you want. You want to just get a 9/9 flyer, and you want to take out Aanginer in, like, 2 turns, so... didn't realize that this was a Sphinx, too. Very cool. Big fan. Oh. Okay, we went for the 5, 10, 15 life instead. Okay. Oh, and there. See, there you go. It doesn't use the Vorthos boxes like an MSCM, but, you know, in the future. I'm, am I a little surprised that we went for the life? What were we at? 15? Like, we weren't super low, right? I'm going to do a quick check myself. I have access to the deck lists. What's the removal look like? There's... Set Ablaze is 2 damage. Okay, Chronicle of Extinction forces you to sacrifice a creature and a planeswalker. There could be that. But, I mean, outside of that, honestly, main board, there's no Liquidates in the deck yet. And there's only 2 Chronicles, and even there, you've got the tokens. I think I would have personally gone to the... oh, okay. Well, good enough. 29 life was apparently enough to say, all right, not getting there with the burn. So let's switch on over to... the deck list here is just so you can get a good look. So Aanginer's packing cards like, and again, please pause if you want to read them because I can't read all of them with the time we have. Ignited Soul, we've got Arduous Miners, we have Blistering Cryo Phoenix, which doesn't return itself, but it returns cards with flashback, which is perfect for cards like Opal Eye Phoenix. In terms of flashback, we've got All That Remains, Thirst for Answers, Industrialize, Set Ablaze. We've got cards like Chronicle of Extinction, we've got Wade Through Spores here. And the Aqua Crew flagship that we saw, and then the usual Grixis style mana base. I am assuming we're going to see Liquidate come in. I think the 2 mana flexible answer to cards like JJ Mack are going to be pretty important. There was nothing main board that could deal with it. Even at the 4 toughness, you didn't have anything right there. Noxious Conditions, not sure about that. Terminal Impact can get pretty big, but I don't know if that's what you're doing here. Soul Guide Lantern probably coming in because you want to exile your opponent's graveyards, so I can imagine those are coming in. I don't know if more Chronicles are coming in, though, so that'll be interesting to see. And over on Lilozors, we've got Savvy Smiths, Pensive Caldera, JJ Mack Trendsetter, Skotha, Titan of Eternal Dark, which we didn't see come out, but does a lot of work. Light Vein Arrow, Seafloor Treasures, All That Remains, High Voltage. I'm very happy to see 2 copies of Searing Grace here, having designed the card and then it being reprinted. One of my few cards that I have in Revolution through guest designs. Abominable Avalanche. We've got Wade Through Spores, which did a ton of work. Sifting Through Soot, Lightspeed Launcher, and then here in the sideboard we've got cards like Skotha. Refract is probably pretty good here. Liquidate is also here. Probably not as good because things are coming back, but, you know, Refract does quite a bit. Thunderous Avalanche, unlikely. Forget their names, yeah, because it hits cards in graveyards. And then more Avalanches and Sifting Through Soot, so. Really depends. Our players have begun, so let's switch on back. We've got Redeveloped Cityscapes being played for both players. I am a huge fan of this card. Gosh, I wish we had a land as cool as that in MSCM, not gonna lie. So it's tapped, you sacrifice it, and you get to exile a card from your hand. You search your library for 2 basic land cards, reveal them, one goes to the battlefield tapped, and the other one goes to your hand. What's really cool about this land is even if you have a 1-land hand, you can actually convert it into a 2-land hand. And thankfully there's nothing that's getting anything exiled back from exile as far as I know, so thankfully it doesn't do like too many gross things, but yeah, really big fan of those cards. The art on it is also very pretty, big fan of it, and I used to have and like Clicks in general was just a set that I really liked. So happy to see it here. So early Ignited Soul again is going to get that rummaging engine going. We've already got an Opal Eye Phoenix in hand. There's that Liquidate we were talking about. Not surprised to see it here. And cards like All That Remains as one of the first flashback value. Over here on Lee's side, we're seeing all 4 of the pop here basics. They actually look really cool when they're all lined up to each other. Obviously, we're missing planes, but it's only 4 color, not 5 color. Nascent Light Vein also one of the bigger lands in the format, so it enters tapped. You get to pick a color, and if you control 3 permanents that could each produce a different color of mana, you get to untap Nascent Light Vein, and it just adds a mana of the chosen color. So it's nice that a lot of the lands in this format are just slightly tuned down from the stuff in MSCM. Not that I mind MSCM's mana base. I quite like the trio of shock fetches and pain duels and check duels, but it's nice to have another some alternatives here. More high voltage. We've got Abominable Avalanche. We didn't really get a chance to read it out yet, so I'll give you a chance here. It's a 3-mana sorcerer that deals 3 damage divided as you choose among 1, 2, or 3 targets. But then, beginning your end step, if you spent at least 5 mana to cast spells this turn, you get to exile Abominable Avalanche from your graveyard and get a 3/3 Yeti with Trample. So it's just kind of like a free thing if you spend at least 5 mana to cast spells, which tends to happen in this deck because you get crazy cards like Skotha, Titan of Eternal Dark. It's a 6/6 for 6. When it enters or attacks, a target player discards a card. You untap all lands you control, and you can pay 4 to return Skotha from your graveyard to the battlefield. Then you put it on the bottom of its owner's library. So it gets a sort of a 1-turn ETB effect. So the opponent will discard a card and you'll untap everything. So if you've got more than 4 lands, you're actually netting mana. And even at 4, it's a free trigger for a discard. So honestly, Skotha doing a lot of work and not horrible in multiples. So, okay. So end step, here we go. We've got All That Remains as an instant. So black discarding Noxious Conditions. Okay, looks like that one came in. Unless there were already some in the main board. Let me check real quick. It does not look like there were Noxious Conditions in the main board. I mean, it's not the worst card to bring in, like I said. Because it's all creatures -2/-2, right? And until end of turn, whenever one of them dies, you get a tap treasure token. Yeah, I can see it against the early 2-drops and the tokens. So fair enough. We'll bring out both players' graveyards because we know they're going to be relevant. So there we go. Flashbacking All That Remains and paying 1 and a red to bring back Opal Eye Phoenix. So very early here. That's actually not a bad aggressive opener here. It's going to swing in for 4. Decent. There's Skotha mana, but Skotha's not in the yard, which is, relevant. There's not an All That Remains, so it's going to have to be a main. Yep. So look at the top 3. One's going to go to your hand. The rest are going to go to the graveyard. Let's see what gets binned. Okay, looks like we picked up a Savvy Smith and threw a bunch of lands here. Looks like a Light Vein and a Hazak District. So, big fan of Hazak District. That cycle, again, is really fun. Clicks did a lot of cool lands. Also, huge fan of the set symbol, not gonna lie. It just looks so nice. So, okay, we're like at triple Skotha in hand, and we need those Skothas in the yard. So, I'm assuming, yeah, okay. Abominable Avalanche is going to clear the way, and then leaving black open for a flashback, All That Remains. That black will be able to pull one of these 3 Skothas into the bin, and yeah, means we can have at least 1 card in there. Though there's not huge amounts of payoff, you might want to have Savvy Smith out first, but yeah. That was a pretty decent Abominable Avalanche, finding exactly 3 points of damage on the board. Thankfully, Opal Eye Phoenix just goes back to the yard, and there is still an All That Remains here. And the fact that, oh, actually, Blistering Cryo Phoenix is here, and we're at 5 mana, right? We're, what, 1 short? Of doing it, right? Because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? We would need 1 extra mana for all these 1 cheap mana flashbacks, but let's see how that goes. Maybe you still run out the Blistering Cryo Phoenix early because the amount of value that'll generate in the future is just really, really strong. Not sure about tapping like this, right? Because double swamp is pretty limiting. Okay, well, if we're just firing off way through spores and stuff, I guess it doesn't really matter. Don't even need to play All That Remains. You're just able to discard your Skotha yourself. So, are we firing off the other one? No. Okay. Ignited Soul's coming out. And yeah, way through spores goes back to the hand here. That's actually quite fun, not gonna lie. Because it's discard 2 and lose 2 life. So they kind of loop very well together. And as soon as we get a... No, we've got the second swamp. So literally as soon as we play that mountain, you can do discard 3, lose 3 every turn. Thankfully, your opponent can get around some of that. But yeah, that's a pretty decent loop there. If the Blistering Cryo Phoenix is uncontested. I'm assuming it will not be. It doesn't recover itself. So a card like High Voltage here is just going to do a lot of work. Big fan of High Voltage. I like the design on it. Alright, looks like a Savvy Smith hit the bin. 2 Skothas are in the yard now. That's a second Lightspeed Launcher in hand. Now, the one issue is you probably don't want to be paying 3 mana for High Voltage. I almost wonder if it was better to leave the All That Remains for this turn, using 1 mana on it and then 1 mana on High Voltage, and then you'd still have 3 mana to use. But yeah, anyway, we're going for 5. So that's going to be Skotha from the yard, right? Okay, I see where we're going here. We're going to go, I guess, to a main Skotha. So opponent discards, you untap all your lands. You had the 1 left over. Tap 5, you're going to get your other Skotha. And I mean, yeah, as a 6/6 threat, it opens up a lot of doors. The liquidate in hand is important, and unless we get a... Okay, well... Alright. And there's Skotha here. Another discard. So that'll be the mountain going, right? You can't get rid of that liquidate. Oh, never mind. We chained both Skothas from the yard. Okay, I see what we're doing. So we're hitting everything in the hand. If that's the case, then yeah, that's not going to be great. I mean, yeah, might as well. It's free +1s. The one issue is you're still not getting that other instant or sorcery spell here. So yeah, the bad news is if Skotha comes down, the answer to Skotha Liquidate goes to the yard, right? And as far as I know, there's not really a way to pick it back up. So yeah, there's 6. I mean, if you're your opponent, you just can't... Okay, floating a blue. And again, Skotha will untap everything. Alright, well, that's gonna... Okay, floating the red instead. Untapping everything one more time. There goes Liquidate. The answer is all the Skothas, Aanginer. All the Skothas is what Lee needs. Absolutely called it. So, red, black. Is this Savvy Smith coming down? Yeah, okay, there it is. At the beginning of the end step, Abominable Avalanche will exile if Lee remembers the trigger, and that'll give another 3/3 green Yeti with Trample. Things are going to get a little dicier. There's a lot of flashback, but that Liquidate would have been really big, funnily enough. Not really an answer here to the 6/6 Skotha. It doesn't have evasion, but I mean, at the same time, there's only so much, right? So, okay, high voltage coming out, actually clearing out the Cryo Phoenix, which makes it a lot harder to cycle the value on your flashback cards, and then wrapping it all up this turn with a light speed launcher, giving your creatures first strike. And at the end, Yeti was remembered, so here it is. Wow, okay. Well, drew a liquidate. Couldn't probably ask for a better top deck. I'm assuming that's an easy 3 mana get rid of Skotha. Yes, it can come back, but I mean, you won't have cards in hand anyway. And the 6 power on the field is just such a problem. So, Way Through Spores and Opal Eye Phoenix can always come back. So, opponent discards the other Light Vein, loses a life. Opal Eye makes its appearance, and we've got Liquidate mana up. Don't have to use it right away, but it might be... We don't know if Lee brought in the counterspells, but if Lee did, we probably want to do it before... well, no, it's just a land. Not that Aanginer knows that, but regardless, you want to get that out before the attack trigger, so I'm assuming it'll be like a start a combat, fire off, liquidate. And Lee's down to 8 life, so well, hold up. You probably say, hold on, right? Yeah. Oh, not that it really matters if you have no cards in hand for, like, the untap all lands, like, little scuffy, but normally, you know, move to combat is where you do it. But, yeah. And your opponent gets a treasure token. Hooray! It's kind of funny how this is, like, just a strictly worse... Oh, no. Or Planeswalker. It's got flexibility. Forget what I'm saying. Well, Ephemeral Mire, an enter-tapped blue-black land. Not perfect, but you've got the pressure right now with the 3/2 in the air. If you can find a way to... I mean, the answer would be find more Opal Eyes, but honestly, I guess, yeah, we're going to industrialize, we're going to convert these lands into hopefully something better. So there's a Scry. There's going to be a draw card, then a discard a card. Set Ablaze is perfect here, because once again, you can discard up to 2 cards and draw that many cards, but... oh, okay. Thinking on whether or not to discard the Ephemeral Mire. I mean, it does become a unblockable 3/2, which is not irrelevant. The 2 damage on Set Ablaze would just, you know, be able to take out the Savvy Smith, which is a lot of value here, but okay. Blaze going to the yard, keeping Ephemeral Mire. Swinging for 4, that puts Lee down to possibly lethal, and I guess if you play out the Ephemeral Mire, it's a pretty impossible to get rid of land, and it turns into a 3/2 that can't be blocked. And it costs X less to activate, where X is your devotion, to black and to blue, which is 1 right now. So it's a 4 mana activation. Okay, well, JJ Mack from the top of the library. Oh, okay, that's a concede here. Okay. Yep. Alrighty. Hey, with the 1 and a 1, that means that lucky us, we get to watch a game 3 here. And speaking of that game 3, here we go. Lee's gonna... If you recognize that noise, you two are also playing Pokemon TCG Pocket. It is time for me to open up my my packs. But I only open it once in the morning, so I get 2 packs. Ignore that, not important for this recording. But yeah, shout out to everybody else trying to pull splashy cards just for the fun of it. What do we got in the hand here? Sifting Through Soot, Way Through Spores, JJ Max. Still not sure what Lee brought in from the sideboard, but Liquidate still here. No surprise. Early Ignited Souls. Honestly, doing more work than I would have thought. It's a very cool card. I'm a big fan of this sort. I'm guessing it's a alternate art, right? Because it's one of the GP winners here. So, pretty cool thing. Forest, Redeveloped Cityscape here. And then what are we getting? Another land to the hand, right? All right. So, Swamp into play tapped, and then converted that Wade Through Spores into a forest, right? Yeah. 2 mana here, it's going to be a Sifting Through Soot. So we didn't really have a chance to read this card, but it's whenever Sifting Through Soot or a land you control enters, you get 2 life and you put a Soot counter on Sifting Through Soot. You pay black, you remove 2 Soot counters from it, target player loses 2 life. You can pay 4 and remove 5 from it and sacrifice it, and you bring back an artifact or creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, activate only as a sorcery. I love how it perfectly depicts that moment in Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, where you're just running around the soot-covered fields. Honestly, absolutely, Gen 3 is my favorite Pokemon generation, so I'm just loving all the stuff that GQ Chaos Reigns brought to the format here. There's another Ignited Soul, and there's a Wade Through Spores here from the graveyard, taking 1 life and dinging a card, which, funnily enough, threw a Wade Through Spores into the yard. I will remember, of course, to bring up these lovely graveyards out. Yeah, Wade mirrors are really funny, because Wade hits Wade, but, you know, it is what it is. Aqua Crew Flagship, some more lands. Here's Light Vein Arrow. 3 damage, scry 1. Very neat card. Sifting Through Soot has enough for a 2-life ding. I really wonder what the optimal Sifting Through Soot in this deck is. It seems obviously like the kind of card that's just a little, I don't want to say non-synergistic, because it definitely, like, you are definitely getting a lot of ramps, and if you're running Primal Fissure, I mean, you can put on, you know, you're getting a lot of life on it. I'm assuming that's mostly what it's for. It's the fact that you're getting 2 life off every land drop, which honestly is kind of nuts on a 2-drop enchantment. It's pretty hard to remove. And I can imagine Burn struggling to deal with the fact that every turn is a +2 all the way up to a +4, and then just occasionally you get back your best cards, or just, you know, can throw in a bunch of these soot counters at your opponent. Good card. So yeah, Ignited Soul here, not sticking around. But here's the Aqua Crew Flagship. So I think it's the first time we see that card get resolved in this match. Can leave the draw discard for when you need it most. We are going to be about to get, what, JJ Mack here? Yeah, so. So there's the Sifting Through Soot. Did we get a trigger? There we go. And JJ Mack. All right, which is going to do wonders with that Wade Through Spores here. And All That Remains also is going to do pretty well. I mean, the real thing is that there's no limit, right? It's just simply exile an instant or sorcery spell you control with mana value X. There's no cap. So even if you cast an All That Remains main from your hand, right? Yeah. Can't even remove it. Why can't we remove it with Liquidate? Did I miss something? I don't see why not. It's exile an instant or sorcery spell you control. Least tapped out. Sifting. I mean, okay. Oh, I see. If this is a question of, oh, my opponent just sifting through Soots, yes, by spending 4 mana, getting rid of Sifting Through Soot. It has to be at 5 Soot counters. Oh, it will be with the Forest. But regardless, it's, you know, most of their turn and getting rid of Sifting Through Soot. So, yeah. I mean, the other option is you let JJ Mack in. You let your opponent throw in a bunch of value into it, so you hope you see a Wade Through Spores and All That Remains. The one concern, of course, is your opponent does what they did last time and gains 15 life. Alright, here's Industrialize. That was a spell from the graveyard, so here's the Human Pirate. Okay, crewing the Aqua Crew Flagship. Okay. Willing to offer the trade. I assume that trade's not going to happen. Your opponent is sitting at a very comfortable 25 life. I imagine we're just going to go to 20 here on Lee's side and then try and set up a JJ Mack value. Your opponent's holding up a lot of mana. All right, there it is. Okay, so discard then draw. Okay, so Noxious Conditions was discarded, then we drew. Here's Liquidate, doing it main phase. Pardon me. There's a treasure, though. Oh, and it's not even a tap treasure. I can see that being sometimes possibly rough. But Sifting Through Soot is here, 2 life, paying 4, and there it is. Alright, so JJ Mack is back. And is able to wade through spores the same turn. Yeah. Pretty much was a done deal. I mean, that treasure also helps, you know, in case you want to do even more. But, yep. So there's wade through spores. The question is, are we just gaining an absurd amount of life to start us off? Or, okay, we're going for the card draw this time. Draw 5 cards and then discard 1, I believe. Which I'm assuming can be something like... what do we do? Yeah, okay. All that remains. Exactly. Drew another Sifting Through Soot, funnily enough. We didn't get a chance to read Forget Their Names, but I'm assuming it's this sort of like shred the cards, right? Choose a card other than a basic land. Search its owner's graveyard, hand, library for any number of cards with the same name. Exile them. If their library is searched this way, they shuffle it. Then you get a life for each card exiled this way, and that player draws a card for each card exiled from their hand this way. Wow. Does a lot. And then it has flashback. So, you know. Yeah, the refill is pretty decent here. So here's the question about the risk is, obviously your opponent just drew another Sifting Through Soot, but that is going to be 5 land triggers to get back to it. And honestly, that risk isn't bad right now. So there's Set Ablaze. What's in the yard? The All That Remains? Okay, so I mean that's still 9 life that can be had off of an All That Remains. Or again, just drawing more cards. But alright, we're firing off the Liquidate here. Oh, okay. Not in response, All That Remains. Okay. Was very surprised that wasn't going to happen. I figured that was the big one here. And then you pitch the all the other. Yeah, okay. And then you use JJ Mack, and it's either going to be draw 3 discard or shore up that life total, giving you a chance to re-loop Sifting Through Soot once more. We'll see. I mean, 29 is not nothing. Let's see what the choice ends up being. Alright, big draw, oh my gosh. Well, you picked correctly. You got JJ Mack for days. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that it came down to Liquidates. If it's your only piece of removal and your opponent has must-kill cards like JJ Mack or Skotha, or Skotha? I'm definitely butchering that guy's name. Let's go find out together. It's... Okay, Skotha. I had it. Sweet. I was not incorrect. I'm sure Aanginer is not going to be very happy to see more JJ Max where that first one came from. So here's Lightspeed Launcher, but immediately followed up, I'm going to assume... Oh, no, all right. Playing it safe. Is this Forget Their Names on Liquidate? That would be so funny. No, okay. Opal Eye Phoenix. Yeah, all right. Well, that was the only one there, so it is a surgical. None were in the hand. Forget Their Names is going to gain 4 life. Dang. Not bad, actually. And Aanginer doesn't get to draw. None of those were in the hand. And there's that Blistering Cryo Phoenix being revealed. And look, it can do it again. It's wild card. Okay, but that means no JJ Mack this turn, but that was the second spell, so Lightspeed Launcher does amp it up. There is mana here for some other cards. Either the Caldera, the Smith, or a Sifting Through Soot again. What am I considering? You're stripping out your opponent's primary way of dealing damage. Like, yeah, sure, Flagship can do some work, but it's not the same as having your Phoenixes. Caldera does very little. You're going to start beating down the opponent with JJ Max. So, yeah, I'm not... Yeah, Savvy Smith is also where I'd be thinking. All the modes are just particularly good. It's fine as a 2-2. You're not really at risk right here at 21. And yeah, your opponent's not getting back that that Phoenix from the yard anymore. There's the other Phoenix. And there's the another Liquidate. That's gonna feel really sad when Lee starts dropping in JJ Max. Not gonna lie. We'll see how this goes. So we could fire off, or Lee could fire off, and all that remains here with Flashback, with using the Treasure, which could either give you a 1/1 creature token, not horrible. I don't really think you want to discard to draw necessarily. I mean, these are all pretty fine main board-ish. And you're having to discard for all that remains, so... And on top of it, like, this is your opponent's third Liquidate. You know, that's, like, down to, you know, almost none left. Okay. So, firing off all that remains, discarding a Caldera. We'll look at the top 3 cards. Well, Smith is going to resolve first, but, yeah. Let's see what the Smith trigger ends up being. Is it going to be the... No. Okay. Floating a mana. Being your opponent's main? Really? What are we looking to do here? I don't know. Let's find out. I mean, the hope could be to put in other All That Remains into the yard, right? Okay, well, Wade Through Spores is not it, but that's fine. I'm assuming that mana's just gonna fizzle. Keeping the Abominable Avalanche makes a lot of sense. I mean, once again, that's, you know, 2 and a 1 or 2 and a 1, just clears up, mops up. Okay, the black maybe could have been for digging for more All That Remains. There's 2 left. I assume there's a full play set being played in that deck. No. Oh, never mind. There's only 2. Huh, okay, never mind. There's only 2 All That Remains. So what could the black floating have been for? I don't know. That seems very odd. Interesting. I would have liked to figure out what that was for. Oh, hold up. Oh, okay. All right. So just color for anything. Okay. Seafloor Treasures then. And that was the second spell? Yeah. All right, punch me. Yeah, I mean, you know, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's not a horrible... Or was... Oh, no, crude, obviously. 7. It's not a horrible swing, but... That Abominable Avalanche is going to sweep up a lot of the board, I find. I mean, there's even value in going after these 2, because this can't crew the flagship by itself. And you've got 6, 7, right? So 7 mana to play with. You could even do like an early Sifting Through Soot and then 4, 5, 6. Actually, you could do JJ Mack and Abominable Avalanche in the same turn. So fun stuff all around. I'm going to assume... Okay. We don't have green for Avalanche, so that's not what we're doing here. Are we just going for Soot? Okay. And then is it just the way through spores? I mean, I could see it off the Hazak district. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 15 life goes a long way if that's what we're doing. Okay, that is what we're doing. And the chances of a Liquidator are quite low. Never zero, but quite low. Alright, Aanginer says, you know what? Once again, too much life and lost the Phoenixes. So that'll be a wrap on this match. Hope you enjoyed. Revolution is just a blast, so hopefully you can catch some of these players again in future rounds. And if you like this Revolution format, leave a comment. And if you want me to do more content for it, I'd be happy to get back into that. So take care, have a good one, and see you in the next video. Bye.